Hi everyone, it's Andrea from AndreaTully.com, and I made a video last week kind of saying that I'm back and what's been going on and why I haven't been making videos in a while. So if you didn't check out that video, I'll link it here, but you can watch that for kind of my update on life. But now I wanted to take some time and answer some YouTube questions, and so this will kind of be like a Q&A. I'll just go through some of the comments on YouTube and try to answer some of your questions, okay? So let's get started. Okay, so our first question comes from Avery. And Avery says, I'm a freshman in high school and my high school is huge. We're only allowed one AP class as a freshman, but I'm taking a dual credit program to get my associate's degree my senior year. I want to do a bunch of shadowing and volunteer work, but I don't know if I'll have time because of family stuff. Any tips? So that's a great question, kind of trying to balance shadowing and volunteer work when you're in high school and kind of making all that work and deciding what your future plans are going to be. So Avery, I think it's great, first of all, that you're doing this program to get your associate's degree. That sounds like an excellent opportunity. And I think what you need to do is just basically decide how you're going to prioritize your time. And so that means kind of thinking about what your long-term goals are. And if your long-term goal is medicine, then you need to break it up into tiny goals. And this is kind of the same principle that you can apply to any big goal in life, but you have to break it up into little steps. Otherwise, it's not going to be manageable. And so if you're in high school and you want to be a doctor and that's your long-term goal, then your first goal is going to be to get into college and to get into a good college with good grades and potentially a scholarship or things that can help you financially, because that's going to pay off down the road when you're in medical school and you have loans and things like that. And so when you're in high school, all you want to focus on is what you can do to get into the best college. And so if getting your associate's degree is something that you feel like is going to help you either get a job and work while you're in college or help you apply to whatever program you're interested in, then I think that that's an excellent decision and definitely the thing that you should do. For me, I don't know if getting an associate's degree during college during high school would have necessarily helped me with my goals of getting into just a regular 4-year college and graduating with a bachelor's degree, which is what you need to get into medical school. You have to have a bachelor's degree to get into medical school. And so if you're having trouble prioritizing time with volunteering and working and family things, and a lot of it's because you're in this very rigorous associate's program, then maybe you should rethink what you're doing with that program and rethink what your ultimate goals are and kind of back it up a little bit. Otherwise, if that's definitely what you want to do, but you still want to be able to factor in times like volunteering and working and dealing with family things, it's really tough. And you just have to schedule, really think ahead, try to use your time to the most efficient way that you can. And so when you're at school, if you have any downtime, you should be studying or kind of maximizing spending time with your friends if you're not going to see them on the weekends so that you get some of that social interaction. And if you have time on the bus ride home or in your commute, try to listen to podcasts that help you study or try to study on the bus. Try to do your homework in little intervals here and there. Kind of try to fill your time as much as you can so that you can spend an hour here and there to either volunteer or work on research or extracurricular activities and things like that. And a lot of this just takes a ton of extra work on your part. And it's hard to give advice because everybody's situation is a little bit different in terms of what kind of activities they're doing and what their schoolwork entails and how to kind of fit it all in with family and things like that. So I know it's hard and you're doing awesome, Avery. You're, doing the best that you can with what you have. And so the biggest thing is to just kind of break it down, think about what you want to do, and figure out little ways that you can make it work in your life, okay? Our next question comes from Caitlin, and Caitlin says, I really want to be a doctor after watching Grey's Anatomy because I love the thought of getting to save people's lives and make their lives better, but my only thing is I don't know if I have the stomach to do surgery. Like, I'm good thinking about it, but sometimes when it comes to in real life, I can be a little squeamish. Any advice? All right, and then somebody else commented, LV commented and said, watch videos of surgery on YouTube or follow med students' accounts on Instagram. That's what I did. I think that's such a great tip to kind of see if that's something that you can kind of become more comfortable with. But I have to say that everybody's a little squeamish when it comes to surgery and blood and guts, and especially on TV when they dramatize it and everything is like just so much more than you would ever see in real life. Everybody's always asking, like, are things just like Grey's Anatomy? And I don't know because I don't watch Grey's Anatomy, but I'm inclined to say no. I don't think it's actually like that in real life. But what happens with medicine is you kind of build this comfort level little by little. And so first year of medical school, you'll start with anatomy lab and you'll have a cadaver. And that's a huge thing for many people to kind of get comfortable with and get used to. And that's your first step in kind of getting less squeamish in the operating room. But it's still very common for people to faint or get lightheaded or just very overwhelmed in the operating room because it's not a normal thing to feel comfortable with bodily fluids and surgery and blood and all things like that. I think for the most part, people get desensitized to it because you see it in a very scientific and medicine type of way, and there's just a natural part of human nature that allows us to disconnect from the human part of it. And so in an operating room, everything is draped so that you only see the tiny square of where you're operating. You don't see the person's face unless you're doing eye surgery, and then you do. But you don't connect with them as a person. You see the field, the operating field that you're focused on, and that's where your mind goes. And because you're so hyper-focused on doing great surgery and taking care of this person, I think it's easy to kind of get over the blood and guts and it doesn't bother you as much because you see it in such a different light, if that makes any sense. But I think that watching videos of surgery online is a great idea just to see kind of what it is down the road that you would need to be exposed to and see if it's something that you just truly are adverse to or something that you think you could probably get used to. The other thing is that after medical school, you don't have to be a surgeon. There's so many medical specialties where you see absolutely no blood and guts. You can do radiology and you don't really, unless you do interventional radiology, but just regular radiology, you don't have to do any kind of interaction with surgery or any bodily fluids or anything like that. There's tons of different fields of medicine where you definitely don't need to have to deal with anything like that if it is not your forte. But I think just kind of getting exposed to it, checking out videos online, and kind of taking it step by step, you'll be just fine. That's no reason to discount medicine as your future career because you never know. You might get totally used to it and it not bother you at all. So I would just keep an open mind and just kind of see how things unfold as you learn more about medicine, okay? Good luck. Okay, our next question is from Amanda. And Amanda says, "Hi, Andrea. I'm stuck. Could I have your advice? I'm not sure whether to choose the CRNA route or the MD route. On one hand, I don't want to become an MD because I don't want to possibly make more money than my future husband because I mainly want to stay home and watch the kids. But on the other hand, I don't necessarily want to go the CRNA route because then I'll regret not going to med school because I'm not as interested as working as an RN for a few years. Both paths attract me. I would love to become a CRNA because it has reasonable hours, around the same pay, a bit less schooling, and they do almost the same as an MD. But I want to become an MD because I get to explore the field more, better pay, and I also get to experience different rotations through med school to see if I'm interested in any other parts of medicine. The main thing taking me away from the MD route is the schooling and the rigorousness. I tend to stress out about school, and I'm always busy studying, and I'm only an undergrad, so I don't want to go to med school and then have to drop out because I can't take it anymore or finish it. Also, is it true that MDs get to schedule their own hours? One of the things taking me away from CRNA is that with only a couple more years of school, I would know more and be more qualified. Also, because part of me wants to become an MD, I feel like if I become a CRNA, I'm going to regret not going to med school. Help! Okay. Amanda, those are really good questions, and I think so many people are in your same shoes and kind of having the same thoughts. Like, I want to go to med school. I'm afraid that if I don't, I'll regret it down the road. I know I love medicine, but I also don't want to make the commitment because I'm scared that it's not going to work out and that I'm not going to have any backup plan. I don't really want to do the whole rigorousness of medicine, and it's just a little too much for me, but at the same token, I still want to do it. And so people really, I think, have this conflict a lot, and what you're experiencing is super common, and I hear about it all the time. So there are a lot of different things in this comment that I think we can talk about. Okay, first of all is that you're talking about either MD versus CRNA. So CRNA is a certified registered nurse anesthetist. And so that's basically the very similar job as an anesthesiologist. And so I think comparing MD with all the huge variety and all the different specialties of medicine to just anesthesia is very different. And so if you're saying, should I be an anesthesiologist or should I be a CRNA? I think that's the better question. But from your comments, it doesn't sound like you have this deep passion for anesthesia and you know that you would want to be an anesthesiologist no matter what. And so I think the first question you need to ask yourself is it anesthesia that I'm attracted to, or is it just medicine? And I think that being a CRNA would be a great stable career because there's lots of things that are very similar to the level of autonomy and authority and pay grade as a CRNA that aren't in anesthesia. For example, being a physician assistant or a nurse practitioner are both kind of the same things, except not just in anesthesia, in many different fields of medicine. So I think that's number one. You have to decide, is it anesthesia that you want to do, or is it just medicine in general? The other things you say is that you don't want to make more money than your husband because you want to stay at home. And so I think that if your long-term goal is to only be working part-time or to be staying at home or eventually not working at all, then you really need to take that into consideration when you're making the huge financial commitment that is medicine. You're going to be paying for 4 years of medical school, which is a huge financial burden, residency where you make some money but not as much and not nearly enough to pay off all of your loans. And then finally, when you're done with residency, you'll be making a physician's salary, but that's a big financial decision to make. And if you think that you don't even want to work full time or eventually don't want to work at all, then it might not be worth the financial burden that you're taking on going to medical school. And so if that's the case, then I think doing something like nurse practitioner, CRNA, or physician assistant would be a much better financial decision for you. The other thing is that you say you don't know about the rigor of medical school and being able to handle it and having to drop out or things like that. So I think this is a very common concern. Lots of people say things just like this, and I've talked about this in a few other videos before, but there's no way to know for sure if you're going to make it in medical school. But I think things that can reassure you and make you feel better, that you can be confident knowing you will make it through medical school, are the fact that it's a very, very small percentage of people that don't make it through U.S. American medical schools. So if you're qualified enough to get accepted into medical school, the vast majority of people end up graduating medical school. So if you get in, somebody thinks you're going to cut it, okay? So that's one thing. And the other thing is that the whole path to medical school kind of sets you up to know that you can make it. So if you can make it through organic chemistry and biochemistry and do well in the MCAT, and you can do all of the requirements and the hoops you have to jump through to get into medical school, then it's very likely that you can handle the rigor of medical school. Now, it is more than undergrad, and it's definitely more challenging and more taxing, and it's harder than undergrad. But I still think that all those steps along the way set you up to know that you can make it. So if you're just dominating college and you're getting A's in all your science classes, and if you're thinking about taking the MCAT and you feel like you're going to score really well, then you're going to make it through medical school. So don't worry about the rigors. But if you're really struggling and you're getting B's and C's in your college science classes, you're studying like crazy, and you just feel like you're kind of in the middle of the pack and you're just not getting A's, or if you're studying for the MCAT and you're very worried that you're not going to be able to get a good score, then I think it's time to kind of question if medical school is right for you. And something different like physician assistant or nurse practitioner might, number one, make you happier because you're going to be stressed less during those really rigorous science courses, and you're going to feel challenged in a good way and be succeeding and doing really well in something that you enjoy. So kind of take all of those things into consideration. Just judging by your comment, which is just a short little, paragraph, and so I can't tell your whole life, but I think looking into something like physician assistant would be way better because it gives you the advantage of it's a similar structure to medical school, but it's shorter. You have the advantage of being able to do any medical specialty that you want. And the reason I say physician assistant is because you said in your comment, I don't want to work as an RN. And I think to do a CRNA or a nurse practitioner, you do have to work as an RN for a while. And so if you don't feel like you connect to the nursing philosophy, or if you don't want to be a nurse for a while, then maybe that's not the right path and physician assistant would be better for you. But if at the end of the day you can't see yourself doing anything except for being a physician, and you absolutely feel like you must be an MD or a DO and that is the path for you, then I think you should go for it. And I think that if you feel like in the back of your head you know that you can do it and you know that that's what you want to do, then just make sure you think about all the things that go into it. This is a huge lifelong commitment and decision to make, and go for it and be happy that you did it, and you'll do awesome. All right? Good luck. So those are all the questions for today. I hope you guys enjoyed some of these little short question and answers. I'll try to do more of them. Please comment below any suggestions you have for videos. I'm working on interviews with all different medical specialties, so stay tuned for those. Don't forget to check out my blog, AndreaTully.com, my Instagram, A Doctor in the House, Twitter. You can always get in touch with me there, and I'll talk to you guys soon.